She wasn't sure what to do, but it kept coming to her neighborhood. Like most animals around the world, this creature must have had a home or a habitat to retire to every day. After all, it was seen every day in the same spot. In fact, people around the neighborhood had seen this animal out and about on a regular basis. So they even assumed it had not been born into a stray life, but couldn't be sure if and when this poor creature had any owners. After some digging, a local woman called Joy discovered this shabby animal was a bona fide pet and had not been born into the stray life. Whether her owners were loving or not is a question left up in the air, as one day her family decided to abandon her outside of a Southern California desert community. A newly homeless Abby would eventually wander her way into a mobile home park where she'd cross paths with Joy. Abby's appearance began to give Joy some concerns. It was clear that Abby was in bad shape, and she'd only get worse as the weeks passed by. Her hair had grown over her face, her coat was extremely matted, and certain areas of her coat had even twisted into dreadlocks. Daily feedings and sweet words were no longer enough. Joy decided that it was time to get Abby some professional help. While most would just call up the local dog pound or shelter, Joy didn't want to go down that route. If she did, Joy knew that there would be a slim chance that Abby would actually get a second lease on life. More likely, she'd be euthanized. She looked at her options in terms of rescue shelters and eventually decided to call Hope for Paws. The Los Angeles-based rescue organization assembled a team consisting of Eldad, Loretta, and Joanne. Yet, despite their eagerness to help, this wouldn't be a quick job for them. Given the location of the little dog, this wouldn't be a quick in-and-out mission for the Hope for Paws team. They would find themselves driving almost 3 hours east of Los Angeles into the desert. It was there that they met up with Joy at her mobile park and got the goods on Abby. Joy called out to Abby, and the little dog eventually emerged from her hiding spot. The team wasted no time and immediately got to work on luring Abby towards their truck. The team was used to getting the best of many dogs, but Abby was not going to give in to them so easily. Their first attempt would fail. Hard. It was going to take more than some baby talk and name-calling to get Abby to comply with them. The team were going to find her soft spot and outsmart her. Eldad whipped out a veggie burger and tried winning her through a tempting meal. However, Abby was no fool. The little dog walked up to the burger, took a sniff and a taste. They had all perhaps been anticipating that she'd go nuts for the treat and be lured to the team's truck. But Abby instantly rejected the vegetarian food. If they wanted to lure her in, they'd need to step up their efforts a bit. The team decided to raise the stakes and whipped out a beef burger. Abby's senses were immediately triggered as the smell of grilled beef filled her snout. Abby couldn't hold herself back any longer. The desire for that juicy burger outweighed all her fears. The shaggy neighborhood dog greedily consumed the burger. The team swiftly cooked up a plan of leaving a burger trail leading to their truck. That, mixed with some baby talk, further encouraged Abby to come towards them. Now within arm's grasp, they busted out a trap that she couldn't break free from. As soon as Abby was within arm's reach, Loretta and Joanne tossed a net on top of her. Though the burger had previously distracted her, the ratty dog was immediately overpowered by fear and, like any dog in that situation, began to lash out. As Abby struggled and bit on the rope, the team began trying to comfort her with warming coos. Before they even put Abby in the truck, the rescue team whipped out a pair of scissors and decided to give her a new outlook on life. Loretta cut the overgrown bangs, which had long skewed Abby's vision. For the first time in years, Abby was able to get a clear look at the world around her. With Abby now caged in the back of the truck, the team bolted out of the desert and back to Los Angeles. As they came through the doors with little Abby, the rescue workers there couldn't believe the state of her condition. They placed the little dog on a table and began the long process of discovering the dog underneath that mangled fur coat. They wasted no time and immediately brought out the clippers and buzzer. Long hair strands began tumbling to the shelter floor as they began revealing the Abby that had been living under it all. As it turned out, the dog had over a pound of excess hair covering her body. Most of the dog's hair had become matted with dirt, trash, and feces. This made certain areas of her coat especially hard to cut, but the team eventually powered through it. Once the hair was gone, they gave Abby the very first bath she had in over 2 years. A vet was later brought in to take a look at Abby, and that's when they discovered something alarming. It suddenly became apparent that Abby's problems didn't stop at her overgrown coat. They discovered that one of the biggest concerns surrounding the little dog was that she had a hernia. Luckily, vets were able to catch it before it was too late. However, the medical issue wasn't something that could be cured with pills or rest. She had to have surgery. Abby proved to be a trooper and quickly recovered from her operation. It was a recovery that shouldn't shock anyone. After all, a dog doesn't survive for 2 years in a desert by being dainty and delicate. While she clearly trusted the doctors by that point, it took Abby a long time to warm up to the strangers and other animals. Nonetheless, it wouldn't be long before they began to notice changes in Abby's behavior. From being a furball in the desert to being clean in LA, Abby had gone through quite a journey. After going into surgery for her hernia, the little dog was spayed, vaccinated, and microchipped. Once a couple of weeks of recuperation had passed, the once fragile Abby began getting along swimmingly with other animals and most people. The folks at Hope for Paws definitely felt that Abby was now ready for a forever home. All they needed to do was find her a foster home in the meanwhile. But that was a process that could take weeks, in some cases even months. As Abby hopelessly waited for her foster home, 2 unexpected volunteers stepped forward. When it was all said and done, Abby was lucky enough to be taken in by the very same people who rescued her. Despite already owning a dog, Eldad and Loretta had taken it upon themselves to give Abby a foster home until someone would step forward. Given how loving Abby turned out to be, it didn't take long for her to get adopted and find her forever home with a new family. If someone saw Abby today, they would never be able to guess that she went through a world of trauma, a life begging for scraps at a mobile park on the outskirts of a desert. Once her story went viral, it got a very surprising reaction from the masses. Dog lovers of the world were touched by Abby's rescue and couldn't thank the rescue team at Hope for Paws enough. One woman named Darlene wrote the following: "Thank you for all the time you fed her, and you took part in her rescue and gave her a loving home. Sad how she was abandoned. It's a blessing that she has a second chance." Another man wrote in by saying the following: "God bless you for saving this poor little girl and finding her a forever home. She looks like a completely different dog. She's gorgeous." Despite the happy ending, there was something that didn't sit well with the people. While people's initial reaction was happiness for the little dog, many understandably couldn't grasp the fact that Abby was left to deteriorate on the streets for 2 whole years before someone finally called for help. For some, it was a mere question, but for others, it was enough to spark outrage. Nephili Samios spoke for the masses when she said, "Beautiful dog, happy ending. How could a dilapidated dog in that condition be left on the street for so long? If that was me seeing her, I would act immediately. So would my neighbors." That said, Abby's case isn't anything new among stray dogs.